All right, everyone, Atlas the Wizard here. Today we'll be making a tier list specifically for pubs and for ranked. Granted, this tier list will be specifically for World's Edge, which is our ranked map. So pretty much all the abilities and the kits that these characters provide are going to be tailored to that map for ranked. And of course, for pubs, we have World's Edge, Olympus, and Stormpoint. So there's a lot of uh, viability in some instances for all of these characters. For the sake of the tier list, I will be going from S tier all the way down to C minus. Um, but yeah, let's get started on the tier list. First off, in C minus, um, borderline D tier as well. He's in between C minus and D tier. It's going to be Mirage. Mirage has seen better days. Unfortunately, his utility in ranked is it's kind of non-existent for the most part. The invisible res can come in handy dependent on where you are in Stormpoint, I guess. If it's like a crowded area, if there's like a lot of things happening all at once, I guess you can kind of sneak in a res, but it's very situational, and unfortunately, Mirage doesn't bring much to the table. But let's start talking into the solid C tier legends. In solid C tier, I have two legends. The first is going to be Revenant. Revenant's ultimate has been nerfed. I wouldn't say to the ground, but to the point where there's other offensive legends that can do his job better. The silence, again, is also very situational. For the most part, uh, player like characters like Caustic already have their gas traps down, or they already use their ultimate in some cases. So it's very hard for Revenant to kind of cancel or silence most of the cast. Regardless, it's not really needed unless you're being chased by someone to kind of lock in a door to give the person that's chasing you like less visibility. But like I said, that's very situational, and it's also very situational in ranked. So I have Revenant at C tier. Up next in C tier, we have Fuse. The biggest problem with Fuse is you really have to choreograph what you're gonna do, especially when it comes to his knuckle clusters. Like, yeah, it's great that he has two grenade slots. It makes sense, and you can toggle the grenade slots on or off depending on where you want to launch the nades and stuff. But other than that, I mean, Ultimate's a little weak. It doesn't really do much. Ion is fuses can correct me in terms of assist with the ultimate. Say if someone's already in the center of the ultimate and they get knocked. I'm not sure if that counts for an assist, but either way, the ultimate should be stronger. Yeah, I mean, I guess just a solid C tier for Fuse. Next up, we have Lifeline. Lifeline is my first C plus legend. I've stated before that Lifeline is borderline unplayable. As a Lifeline main, it was pretty hard for me to actually put her up in the rankings. But because of the buffs slash adjustments, I wouldn't really call them a buffs. This is kind of how Lifeline should have been from the start, or ever since she got her shield taken away. The drone has more distance to heal you, which I guess it's okay. Sometimes it bugs out and it doesn't work. And you're going to see that with some of the legends coming up soon, where they could be in better places if their tactical were to work. But I put her a little bit higher because in rank, you could run out of resources pretty quickly, especially with a character like Lifeline that doesn't have any offense or defense capabilities anymore. The care package is definitely needed to kind of facilitate a more defensive or aggressive playstyle, depending on what she gets on her care package because of the cooldown buff that she received. So Lifeline C plus. She's better in pubs for sure than ranked. But let's start getting into B tier. In B tier, I only have two characters. Let's start off with a newer character, Maggie. Let me get a swig of water real quick. I have Maggie in B tier because she's also very situational. If you screw up her riot drill, that can actually cost you a fight. That can cost one of your teammates to get thirsted. That can, same with her ultimate. Her ultimate is kind of tailored the same way. If you don't throw it out in a specific way, that could cost you the game. So Maggie is kind of like on a very dangerous slope, and you really need to have map knowledge, especially if we start thinking of all the rotations and pubs. You need to be familiar with your environment to make this character work. The character could definitely be in a different tier, dependent on who's using the Mad Maggie. And you're gonna see that with a lot of my B tier characters. A lot of the B tier characters are very dependent on your skill, because the kits could easily favor you and actually win you games consistently if used correctly. So that's where I have Maggie. The same thing could be for the Riot Ball. The Riot Ball is broken in some instances. I've used it in some games where it doesn't really do anything to the person I throw it to. They don't get stunned. They just move freely as like nothing happened. Sometimes it doesn't even damage people. Um, Mad Maggie definitely needs some fixes with that, but still, uh, B tier, we're starting to get into a better viability for ranked for sure. Especially, well, since we don't have Storm Point anymore, World's Edge doesn't really have any other ways to maneuver outside of zip lines, so to cover better ground with their ultimate is a little bit useful. The same thing could be said with Octane. Octane still has probably one of the best rotation kits in the game, but that's kind of all Octane has going for him. There could be instances where he could take a 1v2, but it's not enough. That's why I have him up in B tier. There's nothing really much to say about Octane, because of the buffs that other legends has had. For rotations, Octane was one of the best rotation legends in the game, besides Wraith. We'll get to Wraith soon, but because of that, you know, he can't scan beacons. He doesn't really have any like defensive options. He's just mostly an escape legend for your team. So that's why I have him up in B tier. Especially for ranked, like I said, there's better rotation legends. All right, so that was B tier. Let's go up to B plus. B plus. Let's start it off with Watson. I have Watson in B plus because she can definitely fortify down end game circles. If you want to win consistently, for sure, in higher ranking, Watson is definitely there for me. It's there for a lot of people if used correctly. I think the saving grace for this character for sure is also the ultimate, especially if we talk about higher ranking, ranked games. You're going to be countering players like Caustic and Gibby, right? Bangalore's that can just throw out your ultimates. She can't counter Crypto's ultimate. I'll talk about Crypto up next, but spoiler. But yeah, I mean, Watson definitely has a lot of things going for her. What was the other thing that she has? Oh, I did not mean to put that on. Oh yeah, and then she can regenerate a little bit of shields if she's not getting damaged. So I guess that's okay. Again, very situational. Watson does benefit with a gold body shield for sure. All right, and then speaking of Crypto is pretty strong. His drone has gotten to the point where everyone knows it's a little clunky, especially crypto mains. But the fact is, if you get jumped or if you make one mistake in ranked, that can lead to a 2v3. And sometimes it's best to just grab your teammate's banner and go res, your friends somewhere else, get him out of the fight for a little bit. I think that's where Crypto definitely shines. Kind of restarting fights or even starting fights with the EMP. Especially, I feel like Crypto is one of the strongest third-party legends in the game, which is why I have him in B plus. But again, that's all. Like I said, B tier is definitely very dependent on the player, um, and again, having that map knowledge and knowing when to do stuff, when not to do stuff. So yeah, that's Crypto for me. The same thing could be said about Bangalore. One bad smoke could be a detriment to your team, or it can change a fight. Same with the ultimate. The ultimate should be used for repositioning, or getting an advantage, or third partying. Again, that's all map knowledge, character knowledge, um, that B tier legends kind of have to deal with. That's kind of the reality B tier legends have to deal with. But I feel like Bang and Crypto are pretty similar. Bangalore has just better options of rezzing because of the smokes, right? You can smoke your teammate or rotate your teammate with a smoke launcher, if your teammate is in a bad spot to kind of regroup with the team, which is pretty strong, especially in ranked if you guys are choreographed enough. All right, and then the last B plus legend that I have is Loba. I'm not gonna put Loba in A because her bracelet is still isn't working. People have been making an argument that, oh, soon the bracelet will be fixed, but that's not the case right now, and we're already pretty far into the second split, so that's not really an excuse. In my opinion, it's kind of a sad excuse, but B plus is still, you're still competing with the best of them. Loba's ultimate is really strong. The fact that you can kind of see high tier loot from a distance off drop is also really strong. Helps you get like a purple body shield, or helps you get like the weapon that you want, because her ult charges pretty fast off drop. So Loba, pretty strong, gets you kitted fast. Pretty viable for end game, if placed correct, if her ultimate is placed correctly to kind of keep your teammates kitted to kind of survive the end game. All right, and we're gonna go up to A minus right now. A minus only have one character. That's gonna be Pathfinder. The reason I don't have Pathfinder any higher, Pathfinder is really good. He's pretty strong. The fact that he can scan beacons kind of tells you where the next rotation should be, which is really good. You definitely need that in ranked. But apart from that, the zip line isn't really that viable. Um, you can you can kind of, or the zipline gun isn't that viable to kind of rotate your teammates. Again, there's better characters that I haven't mentioned yet that have better rotation capabilities than Pathfinder. Um, I mean, it's there, but it's not the best. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna knock it. Um, at the same time, the grapple can get him out of any situation, and the cooldown is dependent on the distance of the grapple. So again, that's very dependent on the situation. And Pathfinder, he's in a good spot. I wouldn't nerf or buff him at the moment. I feel like he's perfectly balanced, and I feel like this is a perfect example of just just good character balancing. He's pretty good. All right, let's start getting into regular A tier. And regular A tier, I have two characters. The first is going to be the new legend, which is Newcastle. After playing a good amount of Newcastle in the first split and the second split, it's apparent that three shields make a hell of a difference. Um, let's talk about how many shields he gets, right? He gets the knockdown shield, and the knockdown shield is only as strong as the level that he has. So we have one shield, his ultimate. I have a video, and I think I'm gonna put the link to that. You can use Newcastle's ultimate to pop Gibraltar's bubble, if you launch directly into it, and you directly pop the bubble, which is pretty cool. It's one of the very few ultimates that can destroy Gibby's bubble aside from Crypto, I believe. I don't believe if Maggie does that. Someone can also correct me, but that's pretty impressive. The only drawback, and is why I don't have him higher, is because it does take an ultimate ability to destroy a Gibby bubble. So, yeah, I mean that's rough if you really think about it. especially if you really think how situational that is and kind of out of the way. Newcastle is still an A tier, right? He's still a better support legend than Lifeline. Plus, he's fortified. So this is probably one of the most balanced additions of characters that we've gotten, I guess, since Ash. Uh, yeah, like most other new characters had to get a bunch of reworks to kind of put them in the position that they are. So Newcastle's definitely A tier. And then the last character I have in regular A tier, I have Rampart. Rampart can definitely hold down positions. If you really think about it, in this season 13 split, there are currently four LMGs on the floor. You have the L Star, you have your Spitfire, you have your Rampage, and of course, you have the Devotion. Those four weapons, any of those four combinations, you can split in between with your Rampart. She's extremely strong with uh, with with holding down buildings. Um, Granted, everyone can use her deployment shields, but a good Rampart knows when to take off the shields and put him back down. The ultimate mm, could be a little better, but again, it's usually just the LMGs and the shields, and that's kind of all you need. Um, the machine gun, I think it's best tailored for endgame, um, to the point where I guess you just don't have any more ammo to spare. The ultimate can definitely close out games if used effectively and high ranked. All right, let's start getting into the A plus category. Starting it off, I'm gonna start off A plus with Seer. Seer has seen a lot of competitive use as of late, and for good reason. I wouldn't say he outshines Bloodhound, but he definitely has better usage in terms of stopping characters like Gibby. He counters Gibby if the Gibby wants to revive someone that's been knocked. Same with Newcastle. He's a good counter to defensive characters that kind of like to play back. Seer can kind of make sure that that your whole team knows where one person is or the whole team, which is definitely needed. Information is key. Also, I have him in A plus because he can scan beacons, right? And then the Heartseeker is also pretty good. It gives you like a good radius to kind of take out rats that have been ratting. And ratting's gonna happen, folks. Don't think that it doesn't. In higher ranked, there's gonna be a lot of people ratting, so having a seer in high ranked is very valuable to kind of get you those placement points for sure. And then up next we have a Wombo combo. Actually, let's not talk about the Wombo combo. Let's talk about Bloodhound. Bloodhound again is in the same tier as Seer. Of course, the ultimate gives him a speed boost, and it gives him more duration depending on how many people you knock. So that's pretty good. Of course, information is a big deal in Apex. Scanning a wide area efficiently can definitely turn the tide of a battle, and it's definitely needed in every aspect. Again, the power scaling has kind of put Bloodhound from S tier to A plus, but I mean A plus is still very viable for ranked, especially if uh, I don't know. He's just really good. I mean, it's just the power scaling, the power creep that was eventually going to happen with a good amount of the starter legends, right? But let's start talking about the Wombo combo. Wombo combo, we have Wraith and we have Ash. These are both interchangeable characters. Wraith has the ability to kind of know when people are aiming at her, right? And that can be a good indicator for your team, especially in high ranked. You can get jumped in a flash. um, the like people really like to like talk down on how her passive isn't a big deal, but it kind of is to the person that's not playing Wraith. um, Wraith Wraith hasn't seen any changes. The portal is still used both ways, whereas Ashes is only a one-way portal to kind of reposition and kind of go for the attack. Wraith is kind of the opposite, to kind of, play around a building or do a fancier rotation. But both Wraith and Ash are definitely in the A plus category. All right, before I start talking about S tier and the viability of these characters, please like the content, share the content, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on post notifications. It really helps out the channel, and it gives me an incentive to keep making videos like this, you guys. So, please show support. I would really appreciate it. And again, thank you everyone for watching. But let's start talking about S tier. The first S tier legend that I have here is Horizon. Horizon, again, has seen a lot of playing competitive. As a Lifeline main, I fucking hate Horizons. All right, I'm just gonna say it. It's so annoying. Horizon is one of the very few characters that can counter Valkyrie when a Valkyrie is not boots on the ground, right? So she can throw up her gravity lift and chase a Valkyrie that's flying, which is a big deal. There's not a lot of counters to Horizon in the game. I would say maybe apart from a good Gibby. Uh, Honestly, not much really. Um, the average Horizon can definitely escape from a bad situation. Not a good situation. Definitely escape from a bad situation. Um, yeah, I mean, just trying to escape, and then if you jump from like a high cliff, you can definitely not have that slowdown, which the whole cast has, right? So even if you are gonna rat in high ranked, Horizon is still pretty strong. The ultimate is super strong for endgame. It's super strong for holding a door and then just arc starring somebody, right? Um, she's pretty strong. This is definitely one of the best RP farming legends in the game, and she'll pretty much get you uh, good to high placement, which is very important. In pubs, what else has Horizon got for her? I mean, yeah, the gravity lift, just getting out of a bad spot and healing midair, pretty strong. All right, let's start talking about Gibby. Gibby is another S tier legend. Not a lot of changes have been done to Gibby. His bubble is still one of the strongest tacticals, if not the strongest tactical in the game. Again, canceling out Gib or Bangalore ults, canceling out other Gibby ultimates, which is again, his ultimate is one of the strongest ultimates in the game to kind of take people out of their cover. Um, Gibby is just like a snowball of a character for sure. Like once you get a knock and you throw your ultimate at that person or bubble that person that you knocked, it's kind of GG. There isn't a character. Maybe there's like other fortified characters that can 1v1 him face to face, like Caustic as well, but it's very far and few between. Gibby is just extremely strong in that aspect. And then the gun shield is basically like 100 shields. Uh, well, 100 damage to kind of take down. So good luck. Up next, we have Valkyrie. Valkyrie also pretty strong. Valkyrie is the best rotation legend. I think she beats out the Wombo combo, right, in terms of rotations for sure. Especially in ranked, if you are outside of the end zone or outside ring, right, you can just redeploy with Valkyrie and that's it, GG. Uh, Valkyrie's missiles are also pretty strong. And like I said, scanning beacons is a big deal. It kind of puts Pathfinder out of commission. Bloodhound, it puts Bloodhound a little bit down in some way because at one point, Bloodhound was one of the best recon legends in the game. I mean, he still is, but he's not. He's no longer in S tier, and because of that, Valkyrie is here to kind of fill in that role. And then last but certainly not least, Caustic, my choice for ranked as a Lifeline main. I need that defense, man. I need that gas canisters on my doors to make sure nobody gets into my building that I fortified up. um, Caustic's a little broken if used correctly, if the ultimate is used correctly, especially for endgame. Of course, the only characters that can counter a Caustic is a Gibby, and vice versa. These two are very two strong counters to each other. But other than that, Caustic doesn't have a lot of bad matchups. You can make an argument that he has a bad matchup against Watson if her ultimate is up because he can't throw his ultimate. But the fact that he's fortified makes him a tank, and makes him a force to be reckoned with in ranked. And that's going to be it for me, everyone. That's going to be the tier list for ranked and for pubs. Please let me know what you think. As always, I really appreciate the support. Um, and then, yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in season 14, and maybe we'll get some meta changes, right? But hope you guys like the tier list that I created. As a Lifeline main, like I said, her buffs were warranted slash rework, but hopefully she gets some more in the future to kind of put her up higher in the tier list. But yeah, take care, everyone. Thank you.